Hey guys, Terry Carter here. Today I want to give away a treasure site, one that I researched probably 25, 30 years ago. And the reason I'm giving it away is I just physically do not have time because of work, because of other projects I'm working on. I just physically do not have time to go after this one. So I'm going to give all my research, the area, everything right now, let you know why I think there's a treasure there. If you decide to go after it, good luck. The only thing I ask, if you do happen to find anything interesting, just let me know that there was. So you don't even have to tell me what you found. Just let me know that it was a great site, or it wasn't a great site, or you had a great time or you didn't. So anyway, here's what I've got. I call this the 4-in-1 treasure site, and you'll see why I call that as I go on. So in this area, it's a history-filled place called The Rock by the old-timers, and its location is about a day's ride by horse or wagon from Ashley Valley. So Ashley Valley today is known as Vernal, Utah. And the Indians were the first people we know about to snake their way around and through the rough, forbidden canyons, but it was the only way possible that anyone could get through the tall red canyons. This canyon went right by The Rock, which after a long day's ride was an excellent place to camp. The cave-like structure at the base of the rock protected travelers from the weather. In addition, the sparkling clear water of the cool mountain stream running next to the rock enabled travelers to catch fish for food and to water their horses. And even more importantly, the stream provided plenty of good drinking water, allowing travelers to replenish their water supply before they tackled the long, steep mountain that lay just ahead of them on their way to the high Uinta Mountains. This Indian trail is well documented. We know that the Indians traveled this because of the ancient Indian petroglyphs, which have been painted onto the red rocks of the sheer cliff walls. So if you take a look on these sheer cliff walls, you can see that they're kind of faded and they're hard to see. You got to get up there to see them. These petroglyphs are pretty faded, but it's pretty cool and just worth the trip just to go out and see the petroglyphs. So like I said, I call this the 4-in-1 treasure site because I feel like there's 4 different possible treasures here. So this is the first one, is the Spaniards. So after the Indians, a group of Spaniards that were looking for Montezuma's treasure, following the trail of Montezuma's treasure, came up here into Utah, into this area, and they might have had a good clue coming up here because there's some petroglyphs that aren't your regular Native American Indians. These petroglyphs definitely look like they're Aztec or could be Aztec or something like that. After the Indians, the Spaniards, in their quest for gold and looking for Montezuma's treasure, happened on the ancient trail heading north towards the high mountain tops. They also found the rock to be an excellent camping spot, and this was obvious to me because of the Spanish symbols I found near this area. The Spanish symbol says that they cached a valuable treasure there. This is documented by the symbols and the stone-faced monuments which are carved and painted into the sandstone rocks of the area. One such symbol is an M with a dot under it, is located about 7 feet down from the top of a cliff, which is located along the main trail. Whoever inscribed this symbol had to hang off the edge of the cliff with a rope in order to paint this symbol on the stone of the vertical cliff wall. In my thinking, this was a message so that the other Spanish expeditions could see that at the base of a mountain there was a mine or a treasure to be found or cached there. The Spaniards, in keeping with the surroundings, would either paint or carve their message depending on what the ancient Indian symbols were. Because the ancient Indian petroglyphs or pictographs there were painted, they painted this one as well. Like I said, this is the reason that I even checked this spot out. When I seen this M with a dot on it, it was obvious to me that it wasn't Native American and this was something else going on there. So there are several other rock carvings in the area, and to find them you need to get on top of the cliff. So don't go in front of the cliff wall here. You need to go around past the shelter, the rock, and go up behind and go up on top. When you start going on your way there, you'll come to an old rocked up shelter that was either used by the Spaniards or the Indians or some old cowboy or outlaw. This is outlaw country. This was made by stacking rocks around a small rock overhang. But once you're on top of the cliff, you can see the stone face that was carved so many years ago. This stone face can't be seen today by the travelers traveling down the modern highway. It could, however, have been seen from quite a distance from the old Indian trail. Not far from where you can see the stone face, there used to be a rock, a boulder, that had deep rope burns in it. Today, those deep rope burns have been disappeared. Some idiot obliterated them, destroyed them, not wanting other people to see them. When I first seen them, they was deeply carved in there, and I used to think they was hauled something up the face of the cliff, but later on I figured that they used it to pull something heavy up the long steep embankment from on the other side. And I wonder, was it they hauling a treasure up there? Or I wonder, this was a great advantage point. Did they haul a cannon up there so they could help secure and protect this thing? This would have been an excellent vantage point from on top of this cliff, being able to see for miles in all directions. So dropping off the edge of the cliff onto a small ledge, you can find a faintly carved arrow running along the ridge of a small boulder, pointing to the eye of the stone face. And I wonder if somehow this is telling us where the treasure is buried. Be careful when you're going out there. Use a rope to get down on there because it's a steep cliff and you don't want to be falling. So if you crawl on your hands and knees under the overhang on this ledge, you'll come to an area with some more symbols carved deep into the cliff wall. I haven't figured out what their meaning yet of these are, but someone went to a lot of trouble putting them there, and it's definitely not an easy place to get to. It's a CMC. Here's the picture of the M. I can't find my other pictures. My other pictures are stored somewhere. I don't know where they're at, but anyways. So like I said, I'd advise using a rope for added safety measures. While I was up there with my metal detector, I found a few old musket balls on this ledge with my metal detector. I don't know if this was a sentry spot for some Spaniard guarding the area and he dropped them. I don't know if somebody shot up there and that's why they were up there. I think this was a storage vault. I think that the gold was brought to this place from many different mines, and that when it was time to head back to Mexico, they would stop off at this vault and load their mules with as much bullion as they could carry and start their long trek back to Mexico. Is there any bullion left here, or was there ever any? I don't know. But with the Indians always attacking and killing the Spaniards and trying to drive them out of their homelands, I'd say that the chances that it's pretty good. There still could be something there. So now on to treasure number 2, the pioneers and the outlaws. When the pioneers started settling into Ashley Valley, they also followed the old Indian trail to the mountains to cut timbers for their cabins and for firewood. They also found the rock an excellent place to camp, both on their way up the mountain and also on their way back down. It soon became a well-traveled major wagon road, and it was not unusual to see as many as a half-dozen camps or more in the area at the same time. After the settlers started using the trail, miners heading up to Bullionville and to the Dyer Mine, and travelers heading further on to Manila and Fort Bridger added even more camps of the rock. The trail, which had now become a major wagon trail, was even used as a common route by the outlaws, in particular Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and their gang, the Wild Bunch. There's no getting around it. Anybody that came up or down the mountain ended up camping at the rock. Because of its ideal location, exactly a day's ride from Vernal, and because of the abundance of the much-needed water and food from Brush Creek, and because of the excellent shelter that the rock provided. During this time frame, it's a well-known fact that anybody traveling would bury their valuables at night before retiring to bed. This was done in case some outlaw appeared at night to rob them. Every now and again, people were killed, run out, or would forget where they stashed their valuables. Also, outlaws using this trail would use large monuments such as the rock to mark the places where they buried their stashes of coin, bullion, or whatever else they had acquired. Sometimes these outlaws were killed while attempting another holdup and their stash remained buried. Often outlaws didn't trust one another for the whereabouts of their stash, so it remains where they put it, and these valuables are still in the area, buried for safekeeping, waiting for someone to come along and find their hiding places. Treasure number 3. The Rupels. Mr. and Mrs. Henry Rupel, who were among Ashley Valley's, or Vernal's, first pioneers, homesteaded and built their ranch near the rock. The modern-day highway now cuts right through where most of the ranch existed, but there's still a rock foundation of one of the buildings. It's covered by tall sagebrush and it's hard to find, but if you search around, you should be able to find it. Just look near the river about 70 yards from the main highway. Most cattle ranchers always kept a wad of money around for buying cattle, for paying off the ranch hands, and also from the sale of their cattle. They had a stash. Most pioneers used to stash their money around the house and yard, especially when they lived as far away from the banks as the Ruppels did. So who knows if Mr. Ruppel secreted away a stash here and there, but it's worth checking out. Treasure number 4, party land. After cars started to be more prevalent in the area and roads were fixed up to handle them, people could make this mountain trip in the matter of a few hours. Therefore, people no longer needed to camp at the Rock. The new highway was built bypassing the Rock, and countless numbers of unsuspecting motorists passed by the Rock every day, not even knowing the history and the possible treasures that lay just outside of their view, right alongside the road. Eventually, the local kids found this spot and turned it into their partying playground. Countless beer keg parties have been held at the Rock, with roaring bonfires. There's no doubt that unnumbered pieces of jewelry as well as coins have been lost in the sand by the kids standing around drinking while in a drunken stupor. They didn't even realize or miss what they have lost. Treasure hunting with a metal detector at the Rock is very difficult due to the thousands of pull tabs from the countless numbers of beer keg parties. I did detect one area and found an old piece of rolled copper around a piece of old buckskin leather and an old button. However, if you'd like to take a chance at trying your luck and skill, there may still be various types of treasures to be found. Coins that have fallen from the pockets and purses of the partygoers some 50 to 100 years ago could be valuable and rare coins today. The Rock and the area surrounding it is a beautiful place, and it's easy to sit on the banks of Big Brush Creek, close your eyes, and imagine that you're hearing the wagons coming up the valley, or perhaps a packed train laden with ore coming out of the mountains. If you choose to go there, camp there, you'll find that the setting still allows you to believe that you are part of one of these eras. I just want to say one other thing. If you notice some of my pictures of these ancient petroglyphs, the Spanish symbol, the M with dots, there's been idiots shooting at them with guns. You know, I like guns just as much as the next person, but using these as target practice, man, just really ruffles my feathers. If you happen to see somebody ever blatantly destroying irreplaceable national history, please stop them and tell them about the destruction and the irreplaceable problems that they're causing. So how you get there? You can get to this site from Vernal, Utah, by turning north at the junction of Highway 40 and 44/191, heading towards Flaming Gorge. Go north about 10 miles. You'll pass the Red Fleet State Park turnoff located on the east side of the road. At this point, you're about halfway down a long hill. At the bottom of this hill, and just barely past the turnoff for the phosphate plant, turn right, and directly in front of you is a large cliff wall. At the base of this wall is the ancient Indian writings, so faded that you need to climb up there to see them. Higher up on the cliff is the Spanish markings, the M with the dot on it. Follow the dirt road around to the rock overhang and river. On the way there, notice on the left side the circle with the dot in the center of it. This means gold or treasure nearby if it's Spanish, or something good nearby if it's Indian. Like I said, I'm only giving this site away because I just do not have the time. But if you find some interesting things there, contact me and let me know.